A lost ancient secret, a bygone civilization, a city faded by time, all abandoned in mysterious circumstances. But this mystical place isn't at the bottom of the ocean or lost to the jungle. It is right here in the USA, and we're going to take you there right now. The lost city of Cahokia. Welcome to Cahokia. Centuries ago, this area was home to a Native American metropolis bigger than London. Its inhabitants included farmers, warriors, hunters, families, priests, village elders, and an elite ruling class. Cahokia had astronomers who studied the stars and builders who erected vast structures. Their designs included hundreds of man-made earth pyramids and wooden solar observatories. Cahokia was one of the world's most advanced cities circa 1250 AD. But most have never heard of it. All that remains today are these earth pyramids, more commonly known as the Cahokia Mounds. These were massive engineering projects that required intricate planning and meticulous attention to detail. Much of the city was destroyed by farming and construction by settlers who came to the area from Europe and elsewhere. It's thought that the land used to build the mounds came from the nearby burrow pits. Cahokian builders would have materials transported from here to where the earth pyramid was to be constructed. The tallest of the pyramids that still remains today is known as Monk's Mound. It was named by French monks who traveled to the area from Europe. Monk's Mound rises to over 100 feet high, is 1,000 foot wide, and home to 4 platforms. Around 22 million cubic feet of earth was used to make the structure over several hundred years. For scale, that's around the same load capacity as over 7,000 tractor trailers. But how did these ancient people come to build such things? One look at this diagram of how other similar structures were built reveals some insight. Most earth pyramids followed the same pattern, with several different layers of filler dirt built up over time. Each was usually built on top of the other, or expanded to provide more platforms. The mounds were used for many things, from homes to burials. In fact, an excavation of one is said to have unearthed 300 corpses. Most of these were believed to have been victims of sacrifice. Nearby, the grave of what was thought to have been a male leader was found, and inside were thousands of arrowheads, shaped stones, and seashells. This leader was found with the corpses of 4 men, each of whom had their hands and heads cut off. His grave also contained the bodies of 53 other women. This grave is commonly referred to as the Birdman Burial or Beaded Burial. Some say it was host to a chief, others an impressive warrior. One thing is clear though, the Cahokian society of the time deemed him more important than whomever he was buried along with. This is because the Cahokians had a hierarchical system. All Cahokians are thought to have followed and revered the chieftain. This individual ruled over everything. The next class down would have been various sub-chieftains and priests. These were Cahokia's second most important people. Third would have been other elites, along with local village and clan leaders, and below them would have been everyone else. Status and leadership are also thought to be hereditary and passed from the elder generation to the next. This cycle would repeat itself and bring about peace, stability, and ultimately cohesion and a sense of continuity. Cahokia itself is thought to have developed over several hundred years until the settlement peaked in the 13th century. What's interesting is that the name Cahokia came from a 17th century Indian tribe who were on the land when the French first arrived centuries ago. They named the area after the tribe that was living there. but this tribe wasn't associated with who had been there before, so Cahokia was not the original inhabitants' true name. What that might have been, historians, remains lost to time. But Cahokia itself was massive. In fact, it was the largest prehistoric American settlement north of Mexico. At the height of Cahokian civilization, it is thought that over 30,000 people lived in the city and its surrounding areas. All of this was thought to be bigger than London at the time. So, what did such a massive population eat? Well, historians, Cahokians enjoyed a variety of food, including freshwater mussels. This seafood nourished them with vital protein, but once they'd had their fill, they weren't done with the mollusk. Oh no. Cahokians used the shell to fashion a variety of items and tools, from jewelry to cutlery. But more importantly, they also used them to make hoes. This was key, as Cahokia was also home to a booming agricultural industry. Archaeological research and seeds excavated from the area suggest the Cahokian diet included corn and other plant-based foods. The settlement and its surrounding areas were very fertile, and in time, the land would have provided Cahokians with everything that they needed for daily living, ceremonies, burials, and all manner of things. In the center of the city was the Grand Plaza. This area was enormous, spanning some 50 acres. That's around the size of 28 football pitches. The Grand Plaza was used for ceremonial events, parties, and other gatherings. It's also thought to have been where Cahokians played a game called Chunky. This game would see people trying to throw spears at a circular disc across a field. Like other Mississippian cultures of the time, the Cahokians lived and died by the cosmos. Their studies of the stars led to the development of a solar calendar that followed the time of the heavens. This area, named Woodhenge after England's Stonehenge, was engineered to exactly pinpoint the place where the sun would rise during the spring and fall equinoxes, as well as during the winter and summer solstices. Woodhenge is made up of the many tall wooden posts. Several iterations were built at Cahokia over the settlement's lifetime. It is thought Cahokians had to make the structures taller, as the monk's mound became bigger over the years. This would help the leader demonstrate and consolidate power by showing his connection with the sun. Living atop monk's mound, the chieftain would be in a powerful position to welcome in the sun during the equinoxes. This would have been an awe-inspiring event for Cahokia, a society that lived off the land. But despite all of their advancements, Cahokia was eventually wiped out, but no one knows exactly why. Most experts concur, however, that disease and war were likely not the deciding factors in this civilization's downfall. Neither were Europeans. The first didn't arrive until some 300 years after the fall of Cahokia. So, what was it? Well, historian, it seems like Cahokia's fall came about via a combination of things. The settlement's surrounding area was prone to flooding. Cahokia was built in an area where even the slightest increase in water would turn the fertile farmland impotent. That would have been problematic for the Cahokians. At the beginning of the city's life in 900 AD, there was plenty of rainfall. So, there would have been plenty of corn and other crops to live on. Nature provided. But, historian, fast forward several hundred years later, and the downpours began to dry up. It is suspected that this was because of a global cooling climate event known as the Little Ice Age. This weather change resulted in drought and dwindling crops and resources, but massive rain to the far west likely increased local water levels. And that, historian, would have caused mass flooding and aquatic catastrophe for Cahokia. When nature didn't provide, it is thought Cahokia fell into social unrest. the great sun leader could no longer guarantee Cahokia's safety against the elements, and that crippled faith in the system. Archaeological evidence suggests that more stockades began to be constructed around this time, but not just that. Findings from this era also included more injuries in exhumed Cahokian corpses, evidence of raids, beheadings, and burned communities. This all points to increased violence. Whatever went on, most concur that it arose from within Cahokia. The city turned on itself, and, after a time, its inhabitants simply moved elsewhere. And that, as they may say, Mystorian, is that. Earlier this month, we posted an image of this city and asked you all to guess it, with the promise of getting a shout out in next week's video. And guess what? Taya Yamabuki got it right away. So congratulations to you, Mystorian. And if you like this, why not check out our other documentaries on Atlantis and El Dorado? But as always, this isn't goodbye, this is just until the next mythical video.